Hey guys, welcome to episode 5 of the Tromello Brothers podcast with Bill Grundler. You guys asked for it. We put up a who do you want to see next on Instagram, and we had several people ask for Bill. So here he is, guys. Yeah, I don't know why.
It wasn't our idea.
I don't know why either.
So yeah, a couple people asked for Bill. So yeah, he's on. We're going to talk about a lot of things today. Obviously, we'll talk about the Open because I know a lot of you want to talk about that, and Bill's on board. So that'll get talked about. But we're also going to talk about the same format that we usually do, guys. Just kind of how Bill got to who he is today and why he can talk to you about CrossFit so much. And Dave, go ahead and take it away.
Awesome, man. Thanks for being on the show, dude. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked to be here.
Awesome. Man, I remember you 2010 sectionals in CrossFit at UCLA. And I remember like Mike and I thought we were these badass athletes. We're like ex-football guys. And like, I remember seeing you, and I remember just saying, yeah, there's this guy, Bill Grundler, and he's like placing, and he's like, he's not 25. I'm like, who the hell's Bill Grundler? Somebody pointed you out to me. They're like, oh, that's Bill Grundler. And I'm like, that's the guy? That's the guy who's like, I was like, shit. No, but it was funny, man. I remember the original days of CrossFit. That was a brutal competition, man.
You know, I found those T-shirts
That was
the other day from that comp, the fire breather T-shirt from the sectional. I'm keeping it, man. I'm like, it's this old school.
oh man.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You want to know what's funny is that was the one that had where you're in the stadium, and the first event was you had to pick up the plate and run up. Okay, so in my heat that I had Ronnie Teasdale,
Right.
I had Wayne Willett,
Right.
I had there was one another old school guy that's been around forever, and so I think back on that now, and you know, we have all been those guys that were like kind of the guys, the names, and then there's been like kind of this phase, kind of phasing out kind of stuff. But what was funny about that was I signed up. You sign up online, you register online for the whole thing, and you got to put in your credit card information and everything. And my credit card name is William Grundler. Huh. Well, I had no idea how I played because we went through all the heats of whatever, and you ran up and do your thing. You're carrying your plate, and you're doing your back squats and the wall balls and whatever.
Right.
And they say after the first event, and they go down the leaders or whatever, and in first place, William Grundler, and I was like, what?
Who's that?
William.
That's funny.
No, first of all, it was hearing my name said like that, but second of all, I had no idea of what, I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of cool. I think I was going to be in a first in that. That's kind of weird. But yeah, that was, you think about all the different competitions that have been since like those back days as the games has been developing. It's cool for me to know that I've been part of what that was. The only step, honestly, that I've missed out of the whole growth of CrossFit was the 2 original Aromas games, which I have the flyer for because I was gonna go.
Really?
But I got held on at work. I was on a fire on one, and I got held on a staffing pad on another one.
Wow.
So I wasn't able to go to those. So I was really bummed.
When did you start?
Like get the trip knowing that like you've been at the beginning.
I was gonna say, when did you start?
I was introduced to CrossFit 2002. A buddy of mine at the time actually lived in Santa Cruz. He went to Glassman's original gym, and we used to do like ocean paddling stuff. And he's like, I know you're into all these like crazy workouts, because I would kind of do my own little goofy crazy workout stuff. He's like, oh, you should check out this website. There's free workouts on there, and there are these really insane things, and you totally dig it. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was the initial. And so the .com site started February 2002. And I think I found out about it somewhere like in May-ish, somewhere around there, June, somewhere.
Wow.
But I didn't really get into it until probably 2006 is when I started kind of dabbling with it again. Just because I was bored with what I was doing. I was doing my regular, chest on Mondays and back and bis and chest and tries and leg day and blah, blah, blah. And I was doing it for work, but I knew that I wasn't really competing anymore for anything. I used to do a lot of lifeguard competitions, and I would train for those. Wasn't doing those as much. Was training for the job, for my firefighting job, and I was stronger and faster than most of the guys I worked with. So I just kind of got stuck, and I don't really know what I'm pushing for. I don't really know what I'm trying to do anymore. And somehow circled back around to the What is CrossFit article that Glassman wrote, that Coach Glassman wrote. And that re-sparked what that is. And it's like, I want to be good at everything. I want to be able to go and do a triathlon and then hole in a wall, I got to make a rescue, or lift some big guy up, or if I want to go wrestle again, I can do that, or if I can do whatever. I like being good at everything, and that's what that was. That's what I saw. And then from there, I started making the switch, and it took me, I would say it probably took me a good 2 years, or maybe not that long, maybe about a year and a half to truly make the switch where I dumped all the other stuff, and it was just CrossFit. It was regular workout plus CrossFit on top. Then I flip-flopped it to where it was CrossFit with, I still got to have my chest look good. I got to do biceps and curls because I got to have my arms look good. And then it was like, that other stuff's just a waste of my time. And now I'm just CrossFit. And then after that, it was, it was all in.
I remember too.
So, it's funny when I see that, go ahead.
I was going to say, I remember a lot of the old .com workouts were like a lot of like the term fire breather was like, a lot of cardio, like not that it wasn't lifting, but it was like deadlift with like 7 sets of 1 or something. And then it'd be like a lot of like the hero WODs were coming out, and they were like more, you could say cardio based than now what it's turned, a lot more. The .coms are still kind of stuck to that though in a way, like a lot of conditioning.
I think that it has a, there's a element of all-inclusiveness, so it allows for a lot of people to kind of play with it and get, maybe they can't do the weights or they can't do the time frames or whatever, but it allows, for the most part, it doesn't get overly technical at times. When it does have a technical workout, it's kind of like in your face blasting, okay, well, I guess I'm not doing that one because I can't do any kind of bar muscle up stuff or ring muscle up stuff, so I'll wait for another one. But what I like that they used to have, they had a thing, it was called the, I think it was called like the trophy case, and they had like gold standard specific events. Like one of them was your bench weight, your body weight 20 times, or minimum of 20 times. And if you did that and you showed that you can do it, you could send it in, and then they'd send you back a T-shirt because you would be in the trophy case. There was a ring muscle up one. There was an overhead squat one. There was I think there was a repeated 400 meter one. So they were like a variance of that kind of stuff. And fortunately, I guess for me, what I've always been good at is, like, I'm not the strongest guy, I'm not the fastest guy, but I'm very good at like 80% of weight, 80% of whatever intensity. So like, because of that, I've been able to kind of fall into or have a pretty decent run of a lot of events and a lot of different competitions because of that one thing. And I think that that's what the gist was for the most part. I still think that it is. It's just that now people are so damn strong and so damn fast that my 80% is just not what it used to be compared to a lot of these guys that are just, blasting these numbers. It's insane.
I mean, Daniel and I get the question all the time, like, hey, how are you? How's your fitness this year? And Daniel goes, I'm horrible. I'm not as good as I used to be. I'm like, dude, I'm not as good as I was when I went to regionals in 2014 as a team athlete, but I'm 2014 good in 2018, so I'm horrible. I am not the same. I'm the same athlete I was in 2014, but everyone's done 4 years better. I can't compete anymore.
Right. Well, it's rough for me to say as an athlete, because an athlete never wants to say, I can't be there anymore. I mean, like, I always, like, the bar has always been put here, and whether I'm doing the Masters thing or not doing the Masters thing, the goal is always to be, I want to make it to the games in the open division. That's always been the goal. The other stuff is, I don't want to say, I don't want to say it's not as important, but that's never been the goal. The upper goal for me is I want to make it to the big show. That's always been the drive. Always been the drive. But as you get older, it gets a little more difficult.
Well, I have a great question for you, actually, because I've known you for so long.
Yeah.
You technically made the games in the open division as a broadcaster. so at the highest level of broadcasting, you are now the CBS broadcaster, one of the CBS broadcasters, right?
True.
So let's just
True.
say you crush it this year, and let's just say theoretically you make it for the first time at 49 years old. You make it to the CrossFit Games in the open division. Would you still broadcast?
If I made it to the open division, I would not broadcast that year.
Literally, you wouldn't broadcast.
Yeah, and here's why. So last year I made it in the Masters division. I was number one going into the 45 to 49. Yeah. They changed the scheduling of how it's going to go. So instead of it being the Masters in the first part of the week, and then the other part was the open division, they put them all together. So I had to wait to see what's the schedule going to look like to see if I can make it happen. When I found out that it wouldn't work, then it was like, okay, well, I need to make a choice. The choice to me is one is a job, and the other one is a hobby.
Of course.
That's not saying that it's not important. It's just a hobby. Now, when I say that it's a job, the reason what I don't want to have happen is, for me, is if I step out of that spot to do the games, the Masters, whatever, they're going to backfill it with someone. Well, yeah. I don't want to lose my spot to Dan Bailey or some other guy that's hey, I'm a great athlete and I couldn't make it to the games this year, but I've been there for the last 6 years, so I'm available. I'm like, hell no. You're going to have to wait until I'm done, Right. But with that being said, if I made it to the big show as an athlete, the reason that I would skip the commentary thing is because for me, that has always been my goal. So right. if I had a shot to do it in that capacity, I would do it in that capacity. Because to me, it would be worth it in my mind that I could be like, okay, I lost it. And what that would do, actually, the little feather in my cap would be, I would be the oldest guy ever to make it to the games. Yeah. And then I could come back and then I could use that and say, this is what happened last year, and I think it would be a little bit more, I'd be more protected, I think, that way.
Okay. How does that work with CBS? Are you're contracted to them through like a specific date? Like how long does your contract go? What are the
it's basically like an independent contractor through CrossFit. Okay. So I don't work. I'm not an employee of CrossFit. I'm an independent contractor for CrossFit that is hired for the CBS shows. So that's how they run it. That's how they run us through that. Yeah. And then the ESPN was the same way before that, and same deal.
Regionals too. So you're on there with regionals. That's not CBS though. That's CrossFit, right? So
it's CrossFit right now. Although I've heard that CBS is all fired up. Like they absolutely loved the games last year. What we gave them, blew them away. And I mean, really? They do, the Super Bowl and the World Series, and they're like, I have never seen anything like this and what you guys put together. And they were so fired up about it that they want more and more of that live broadcast. So they're talking about trying to figure out how they can get regionals on that platform. Awesome. I mean, I think there's talk that like, maybe even getting an open on the CBS, really? On their sports page. So
that's major for CrossFit.
It's major for the affiliates.
Yeah. It's major for everybody, yeah.
For the affiliates, because you don't really get recognized on a big global scale unless you go to the games, like because you're being announced because that's on CBS, ESPN. But you now put regionals on a CBS platform. There's a lot more gyms now in each region that are going to get recognized on a global platform, and that's awesome.
Absolutely. It's really weird. I think that on the sports side of it, I mean, it's the glitz and the glamour for sure. I mean, that's where everyone's looking and everyone's all fired up about it and excited about it and everything. I think the flip side for the gym owners is, yes, people may see that, but then it's our job to really explain what they're watching. And I don't think that enough people do that well enough, honestly. No matter how competitive your gym is, your competitors are not the ones that are paying the bills for your gym to be open. So you need to be able to have, you know, a well enough understanding, a well-roundedness understanding to where you can have high-level athletes. I like to do the weekend competitions. I don't want to do a competition. I just want to get my sweat on, and I'm currently completely out of shape, and I don't want to die. I don't want to get diabetes, whatever, and be able to encompass all that in your group. So
this year at Precision, because we went to split programming about 4 or 5 months ago with Win and Fit, and Win is performance based and Fit is fitness based, and everyone takes the same class though, and it's broken up. And we've gotten a lot more members because of the Fit programming. And
right.
in the Open, people are fired up because they're super. Was one, the team athletes have to take class, so they're already involved with the team athletes and they see them every day, so they know how good they are. But two, the whole gym is super fired up in the Open right now, just because they feel like they're a part of the success of all those athletes. And it's in there. Some of them are Fit, some of them are Win, and so like I've noticed that just by separating the programming but combining the classes, that the communities come together even stronger this year in the Open. But we've done a good job of explaining the CrossFit for the sport versus CrossFit for the Stay Fit, and that's a massive thing to do as a gym owner.
Well, and I think that's something that we have to do. I don't think enough people understand that the plus that you guys have and I have is that we've been in this realm for a long time. So we've been on that whole wave of what it was when it started, which when CrossFit started, it wasn't a sport. It was, the sport was, I'm going to go really hard because my buddy's going really hard. And I don't want my other buddy down there to beat me. That's the competition, which that was always the driving factor. That was the thing that when Coach Glassman was talking about the importance of the community aspect, that's what the community aspect was. It's really easy for me to stop if I'm by myself. If I'm with somebody, it's harder. But with that being said, we see all of these high-end athletes now. We see the programs that people are putting out, and the regular gym doesn't understand the difference of what is athlete training, what is fitness training. How can I use this training, whatever this program, to where it works for these guys and these guys? I think the first person really that I saw that did that extremely well, like of the big names, was Ben Bergeron. If you would look at the comp train stuff that he had,
amazing.
What I liked the most about it was whether you were regular gym member or open gym member, regional level athlete or games level athlete, the core was like their main workout. And then if you were a regional athlete, they had a couple extra things. And if you're a games athlete, they had a couple extra things on top of that. So you could get your accessory where you can get your specific strength work or whatever, but everybody's doing that core piece, and that really unifies that group. Because I think most gyms, there's this big split about who's doing what and what they need to do, and all that kind of. It's rough. It's rough at times.
Yeah, I agree. Victor does it.
Bill too. So you've been in CrossFit for obviously a long time, and then you were a fireman for a long time. What how did you get into that? Like, how was your life changed? I mean, when did you leave the fire department? How was that decision for you too? To basically, you left the fire department to run a full-time affiliate. Was that why?
Yeah.
You left?
Yeah. It was to do that and all the stuff I was doing with the commentary stuff, and your boss doesn't like when you have to ask for time off all the time in the summertime when that's your busy time of the year when everything's burning. So it was really rough. But I would say that there's always been a pretty abrupt switch on different career paths that I've had. I was a high school teacher before all this.
Really?
And
no idea. What?
Yeah. High school teacher, wrestling coach, swim coach. Like that, when I got done with wrestling, I ended up. What ended my college wrestling career was my senior year. The week before we had our qualifiers for nationals, I put my hand through a window. I tried to open up a window and slide it open, pushed my hand through it, pulled back, and the big shard of glass cut the two tendons on my fingers here. So that basically ended it. And I think that was the precipice that like just kind of pushed me into doing more and more things because I never really felt like I got to finish. I didn't really realize that until honestly
You
probably
still
about
had that competitive. You just had this desire, like I have not gotten this juice out of me yet. In a way.
Yeah. Like and I think that happened early enough to where I just kept on competing, and then that just kind of just became who I always was.
Right.
But anyway, when my career ended, I got into coaching at the local high school here, one of the wrestling teams, and liked that. And my dad was a high school coach and a high school teacher. My mom was a teacher. That's kind of, I mean, our parents were just, that was the life that we always lived. And I really liked it. I had a great time doing it. And so I went back and got my teaching credential, and then went back in and ended up being a high school teacher. I coached biology, medical careers, and ESL general science. I don't speak Spanish. I just speak science. So that was interesting.
Okay.
But after doing that, and while I was doing that in Arizona, I was coaching or teaching in Arizona, but I was lifeguarding up here at Pismo Beach. And the lifeguard department was run underneath the fire department. And I loved doing the lifeguard thing. We would train and we'd be making rescues, and it was all, exciting stuff. And we'd come back to the station and we'd see the fire engine going out on calls and lights and sirens and all that kind of stuff. And even though I liked the teaching, I just felt like I couldn't do that for the next 30 years. So I was like, okay, let me check out this fire thing. So I, the next year I was like trying to learn about it, see what it was. And then took whatever savings I had from teaching, which teachers don't make jack shit. So there wasn't a whole lot of savings. I think it was about like 47 cents or so is what I had for savings. And then I got into the fire academy and just went full bore that way. Was lucky enough to get a job in where I started in Pismo Beach at the fire department there.
Oh, you got lucky.
Made my way through that. Oh, totally lucky. And I mean, and I believe that things happen for a reason. I believe that the right place at the right time is always, I think there's a reason for right place at the right time. I don't think it's just complete luck of the draw all the time. So got in that route, made my way up to captain.
Oh, wow.
And then as I did that, then I eventually ran the lifeguard department, and I was doing all the physical training for everybody. I was the county physical fitness coordinator for the county fire department.
Really?
So there were a lot of those kind of things that were happening. Then, of course, I was always working out. I got into the CrossFit thing, and one of the roles as the physical fitness coordinator was that you're allowed to go to physical fitness meetings or conferences or whatever, which in our department, there really wasn't any of that. So I started using the CrossFit competitions and all that as that's my seminar, that's my meeting, that's my training, that's my whatever. And so I started going to do that. Then when I got asked to broadcast, and all of a sudden now, I'd be gone for a couple regionals, then I'd be gone for the games, and there'd be these chunks of time. And it just got to be where I was starting to feel too spread out between family, job, CrossFit, gym. And I was like, I mean, I guess I could have stayed in the business and just kind of done kind of a shitty job and just a mediocre job.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of respect for what the job is. And I was always one of those guys that would call people out that were like that. So I didn't want to be one of those guys. So I just felt it was better for me to be like, look, I need to choose one of these here, a direction. And I didn't want to give up the gym because that was something that, I created with a couple of buddies of mine.
Right.
And I just felt that was the right decision for me to make. And that opened up the door for me to go into all the broadcasting stuff. I can, do more stuff with my gym. I can start doing these master seminars now and, I'm doing all that. But what's crazy is even though there's been all these like weird transitions,
all one thing.
When I look back, there's really been one line that's been all the way through. But like, you don't see that at the time, you just kind of go with where your passion is and just kind of do your thing. And it's been a ride for sure.
So it's funny. We've talked to a lot of people now. We've interviewed a lot of people now and in their genre. And I did the same. I have a very similar path as you in the last year and a half that I did to went from the teaching job and I feel like I'm doing all these different things, but really going to one direction. And we talked to Rob last week. We talked to Jim. We talked to a lot of people, but it's all the same thing. Everyone who's been successful in what they're doing currently had this path that looked like it was going up and down, but really it's a straight line. And to be really good at the one thing, right? To be really good at CrossFit or really good at home theater development like Bliss was last week, or a musician like Jim, it is not just being good at that one thing. There's all these other things that encompass that around it. And it's just being able to draw all those things that make you good at that one thing. You know, it all breathes off, it all feeds off each other.
I think that the underlying element is that they are passionate about whatever it is that they're doing, and passionate in the fact that not just I like to do it, but I'm willing, like I love it so much that I'm willing to take this risk of doing it. Like people don't quit the fire department.
No, they don't.
I mean, it's great pay, it's insane benefits, time off. I mean, there are times when I'm like, wow, I wonder if I made the right decision. Sometimes, you know, but like I don't regret the decision at all. But it's a leap of faith, and having faith in yourself, that you're passionate about what you're going to do, that you're just going to make shit happen. And there isn't a, well, maybe I'll go and try it, and if I make the decision, well, man, was that the right one? I don't know if that was the right one. It was make the choice and fucking go, and your head down and you're going for it.
Yeah.
And I think that every single one of those big jumps has been exactly that. When I quit teaching, I had no job, and I was hoping that, like, well, cross my fingers, I hope I get a job coming up soon, and I'm going to work really hard to do whatever I can to get that job. Then I get that job, and I go all the way through, and I build up this resume, and I build up all these things, and I'm doing statewide stuff, and blah, 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 blah. And then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get out of that. And I'm going to do this little weird warehouse gym that I do over here and go talk to a bunch of people that are working out. You know, it's what I love to do.
Yeah, when I left Harvard Westlake, I was a year and a half away from getting all my student loans paid for. I stayed 10 years as a teacher. I was a year and a half away. And I was about to be able to apply for BITSA, which was like a way to clear my current teaching credential, because like I worked at a private school, so I couldn't clear my credential. So, but if I had worked for like 10 years plus at a private, I got my student loans paid for, and I got my credential cleared, and I fucking quit.
I did the same thing. Like I had 7 years left before I could officially retire.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I was like, I'll be officially retired at 50, but I got out at 44, 43, 44, whatever the year was. But what I was thinking was, okay, what I'm gambling on here is, yes, if I make it all the way through to 50, I'll be able to max out my pension. Yes, and that would be great. I mean, that's money that you get for, you know, the rest of the time you're alive, and benefits and blah, blah, blah. But what I didn't want to do was take, with the way CrossFit was exploding,
right?
I didn't want to take a back seat to all that wave. I wanted to be up in the front of the wave of that explosion and be part of that. And that was my gamble. I mean, you know, who's to say whether it was right or not? But right now, it's right, because right now is where I am, and so it's the right choice.
Let's be realistic. Do you feel like you're retired right now? Are you doing what you love to the point where you feel like you're not working?
I am absolutely doing what I love to do, 100%. Do I feel like it's not work? No, there are always going to be days where it feels like work, you know. But what I will say is that what I love about it is that even when it feels shitty, I picked it. It wasn't that someone else gave me a shitty job to do. It's the shit that I chose to do. So because I picked it, like, I don't feel bad about it. I just know that that's part of whatever it is that I have to do. It does allow me, there are elements where I can choose to modify what my schedule is, or adjust what my schedule is, so I can do this thing or that thing. Doesn't mean that I don't give anything up, really, because I'm really bad at like not doing certain things. But what I can do is I can juggle. So if my daughter has, she's on the cheerleading team, and there's a football game on a Friday night. Well, okay, I'm not coaching those nights. I'm gonna make sure I'm at the game. And I haven't missed any of her games. If I'm in town, I haven't missed any of her games.
Exactly.
That to me is huge, because with fire, I would miss a bunch.
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes.
So how was it for you?
I really love that.
How was it for you going from such structured careers where like you're a teacher, like that's a structure, and then you're a fireman, like there's a major structure, going to your own boss, there's not shifts, was that a hard transition originally to find your sea legs in a way of like your scheduling and how that was going to work, workout schedules?
I know that one of the pluses that I saw when I was doing fire and the gym at the same time was that there was a built-in break. Like I couldn't do gym stuff when I was at work.
Yes.
Until it was like, nighttime, late night.
Right.
So I had no choice but to hit the pause switch for the gym stuff. Then I couldn't think about it. I couldn't deal with it. I couldn't do whatever. Then I'd come back to it and I'd be like, frivolously on my computer trying to do emails and, make phone calls and whatever the owners have to do. I was thinking that I would it would mellow out and I would be able to go, oh, now I can finally get to this stuff and be a little bit more relaxed about it. But that's not the case. Now I don't have an option to not do certain things, and you end up doing more than that. So it ended up still being structured in the fact that like there are certain things that had to get done, but I did have to figure out my routine and the routine of how my day would be. And that's different. When I would go to work at fire, I would be at the station at 7:30. My shift would start at 8. I'd be there, and with Cal Fire, we were there for 3 days straight. I'd be there until 8 o'clock that next morning, and then I could start whatever I need to do after that. Here, I have kids that have to go to school. I have kids that need, my one of my daughters that will need to be watched at a certain time. Then I come back and then I do my coaching, and then I go and do my admin stuff after that. And then I usually go hang out at Starbucks, and that's when I'm doing my computer work and my whatever, because it makes me feel like I'm at an office and I'm at work, because I need that. If I'm sitting at home, it's hard for me to sit at home and do work.
Okay.
I need to kind of make that happen. But that's me figuring out what is best for me to do what's best for me.
Yeah, I've had to do the same thing. I've had to give myself office time. I've had to give myself a set schedule that I follow through Friday. I remember the first 3 months of not being at Harvard Westlake and being in Precision full time, I was really struggling with the lack of structure. And I was like, what do I do? It's like procrastination was kicking my ass. I remember feeling like I was back in college again, taking classes on Tuesday, Thursdays, and playing football. And really, I only had class 2 days a week. And what the hell was I supposed to do all the times? I'm like, okay, Mike, you're going to do your homework on these days. You're going to get all your work done on this day. And there was a struggle. And even the business, the gym was running good. But because I came, we actually started losing money. Starting like right after about 3 months after I was there, I started seeing a decline in our funds. And I was like, what the hell is that happening? So I had to figure that out. It was really big. And so then I realized like now it's like I actually feel like I put more hours in as a coach and a business owner that I did when I was at Harvard Westlake. But then again, that's replacing hours of teaching and strength and conditioning that I was doing at Harvard Westlake. So it's definitely more of a balance. Plus, I'm taking my kids to school every day and picking them up. That's another thing. So it's totally different. I totally understand what you're saying. It's totally about finding a new balance.
No, I know you started the master's experience, right? Which is pretty awesome. I mean, as soon as I saw you were doing that, I was like, I don't think there's anyone more qualified, to be honest, to be doing that class or doing that than you.
Other old CrossFitters out there.
You've been doing it forever. You're of the age. I mean, what is your advice for? I mean, people training at all levels, right? You have people that are trying to make the games. They're 26 years old. Their amount of volume. Then you have people trying to make the games at 46 years old. What are the things that you train for yourself that you do, and where do you come up with kind of your routines, and how do you schedule that for your seminars, and what do people learn when they're there?
The main gist of the master's experience seminar is to understand to really understand what it means to be an older athlete and the stuff that encompasses an older person or someone that has. And older is kind of, I mean, that's a relative term. I mean, like now that there's a 35-year-old masters division, which I'm just not a fan of that. I'm just not, I'm not a fan. And here's what, and maybe it's because like I started competing for the most part in CrossFit at 39 and 40. So I never got the part to go, I'm getting so much older now,
Yeah.
I was real fast. I was listening to Neil Maddox when they did the last broadcast for the 13.3 or 18.3. Yeah. And he was saying, they were asking, are they going to keep on competing? Him and Casper Bauer. And Neil said, when I was 39, I had goals for a 39-year-old. Now I'm 40, and I'm going to compete if I feel good. But I'm going to have goals for a 40-year-old. And I was listening to that statement, and Neil's a badass. I mean, the guy is absolutely a superhero. But I was sitting there, and I'm like, I never even got to say that. Like I was 40 with these guys that were 25, and I couldn't go, well, I mean, I'm a lot older than you. I just had to go like, all right, man, set the bars up, I guess, and I hope I can do what I need to do to hang in there with you guys. And that I like that part. So I'm not a fan of that division, but neither here nor there. Not saying it's bad, whatever.
Hey man, I'll tell you.
But
I have trouble competing.
What's that?
Being 35 though, even though it's at 34, you have to understand something too, Bill, that you're forgetting. There's athletic age versus physical age.
No, I don't forget that. That's a whole segment of my seminar, and that's what I mean. Like to understand what it means to be older and have all of these other things in your world, and then try to compete. When I was 25 years old, like really, what do you have to worry about when you're 25? I mean, really. If your girlfriend's cool with you or not still. Like, really? I mean, okay, you got your job.
Your next meal.
Do the shorts look good on you or not? Like, I mean, like, your world really, for most, is not that big of a deal.
Correct.
You jump to late 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, and now you have things that, you have stresses in your life that a 25-year-old has absolutely no understanding of. At all. And that's not bad on them. I mean, when I was 25, the things that stressed me out, I thought were a big deal. Yeah. Now that I listen to the 25-year-olds around me talk about what's a big deal in their life, I can't help but giggle at it. I'm like, what? If that's the biggest thing you have, you're stoked. Like that, you don't have a lot to worry about right now. Yeah, so it's understanding being an older athlete.
Yeah, I mean, but like I am the 35-year-old division, and I have noticed like just in my ability to do CrossFit versus when I was 28, I've seen a massive difference in my ability to recovery. I'm noticing all my football injuries are really coming back, and it's been a lot harder to compete. Like even the local comps, I compete at the local events, but not the way and speed I could when I was 27.
No, not at all. Not at all.
And these guys are so much faster because they're younger and they recover so much better. Like I can go ham on a workout with my brother. We could throw down on a competition together still. And I'm going to be a disaster for about 20 minutes after the workout, but it's going to be so much harder to get back up.
That's a good word for it, yeah.
Well, okay, so as a master's athlete, there's the recovery aspect. I mean, and that's what we all talk about. That's what we're all concerned with. What I will say is even though there's a difference between athletic age and chronological age, and the issues that whether you don't have any athletic background at all, and when I go through my seminar, I call that like the infant athletic realm. We have the teenager, which is I used to be a somebody, and then there was a hiatus for whatever reason, jobs, careers, marriage, whatever. They get into CrossFit and they're kind of good at, and they're like late 30s, and they remember that like the last time they were good at something, they were 18 to 25, and so they immediately go back to that, forgetting all the issues that they have and that they aren't that age anymore. Or the old athlete like me that's been this workhorse all the way through, that like I'm surprised that the joints are still together at all. Like the mindset's there. I know what I need to do. I know what the body can do. I also know that like I'm surprised that my Achilles are still all together when I'm doing all these double unders and stuff. And you know, I'm like, come on, kids, hold on down there. But the main issue though, for us is not what supplement can we take to recover, but it's stress management, global stress management, that will help with that. And the reason that's so important is because if we are in a constant stress mode, fight or flight mode, then recovery and repair is not priority 1 or 2. It ends up being like 5, 6, 7, or 8. So you can take all this great nutrition, you can do all these BCAs, you can do all these mobility tricks and everything and whatever. But if you are constantly stressed out, your body doesn't know the difference between relationship stress, workout stress, physical stress. All it knows is that you're stressed, and your body's going to have a response to it. And as it's in that fight or flight response, the only thing it's thinking is, I need to run or I need to fight. It's not thinking anything and won't let you get to recovery mode. So all that, this other stuff is important, and we talk a little bit about that. But the like stress management and how that's going to massively improve everything you have going on in your world, recovery-wise, physically, athletic-wise, happiness-wise, everything.
Yeah. And that affects all ages, obviously. If you're stressed at 25 or 26, you're trying to compete in the CrossFit Games, that's major.
Well, the difference is that the human body is such a massive compensational machine. And when you're younger, you can compensate so much better just because you're more fresh. Your body hasn't been beaten down yet. So you can compensate with stuff and you don't even know you're compensating. So you're getting better, you're getting PRs, you're getting faster, but even with that, you aren't necessarily recovering all the injuries and issues that you have. Those are the things that build up. And as you are 20 years old to 25 years old to 29 years old to 36 years old to 45 years old, like that stuff just compiles and compiles and compiles. So,
well, that's why when we did the Master Seminar of Precision, and I was trying to get my 30-year-olds, people as old as like 29, 30 to show up, because I'm trying to, especially if they have kids already, because I mean, you have to understand, guys, like you're a different kind of athlete at 30 with kids, and especially if you're an ex-athlete, than you are a 25-year-old with nothing else going on. Like you need to do, not just if you're 40 or up, and so that's, you don't like the 35 to 39 division, going back to that, but there's a lot to be said about how you're instructing your master seminar.
No. Well, even with that, like I understand. Well, I mean, I get it. Even just looking at the pure numbers and the stuff that the guys in that division are doing. I mean, the numbers are gigantic in that division, and I know that like the way that it's been structured, honestly, is allowing it's helping those games athletes that are like kind of over that hump now. It gives them another element to step in there or stay in there and stay relevant. I mean, they bumped the money up, so it's like it's worth their while now to do that, which I think that's a good thing. Well, for the sport and for what it is. I'm just saying that I didn't get a chance to play in that game, so I don't know.
I think they started it for the right reasons. I mean, I think it was a smart time to do it because you had some of these perennial games athletes that were turning 35-ish, 36-ish. Just seeing Chris Spieler at the games, it brings another like excitement to the games, even though he's in a different division. Everyone wants to see the guy compete,
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
Well, switching gears a bit, I've heard rumblings, I don't know, and I've been told this by several people now, about HQ releasing next year a college division, the 21 for college kids.
I'm telling you, man, soon the open division is going to be the 17 to 19 division, and everyone at like 20 plus is going to be a master. I swear, that's what it's going to be.
The thing is, think about this, like, so esports, esports, right? Esports is actually becoming a major college sport. There's actually schools that give scholarships now to do esports, right? And so when you look at CrossFit, right? Yeah, you could still go into. It's just like a master. If you qualify for the open division, you're going to go to open division. You're not going to go masters, right? Well, what if you had these teams now that's 17 years old, right? And there's still some that are developing. Yeah, some of them are freaks of nature, but if you add that college division, now you're opening up to colleges to have and/or a team, or colleges to have represented like athletes from University of Florida and boom in the CrossFit Games. And they're doing it. They do it in the Olympics. There's obviously those type of like they represent a school. Why not at CrossFit? Right on the CrossFit Games. It opens up a whole nother job.
Well, no, I think that I could see something like that happen. Without a doubt, we have what 500,000 people this year doing the Open.
Yeah,
the bigger and bigger and bigger it gets, the more divisions that you have, the more inclusive it can be. Because I mean, just think about the time when they opened up the 35 to 39 division, and they've done this every single time. Whenever they open a division, you get this massive group that goes, finally, I get my chance to go to the games.
Yeah.
Even though it's only going to bring 20 more people to the games. Like, that's it. It's not all of a sudden like, 2,000 more people are going to go to the games. It's going to be 20. But I think that would be a fun aspect. I don't know if it would be necessarily at the same time as the games. I could see something like that being like not the games, but like a college bowl, where it's like a different kind of the season. And there's always been talk of wanting to do. I mean, I think, and this is an outside perspective. This isn't an HQ thing, but an outside perspective. When they've done the things like the lift off and the different things like that, that's it. That seems to be, let's try to keep everybody involved in the stuff that we're doing, even though the season that we have already is so god dang long. 5 weeks for the Open, a month for the regionals, and then you got the game. Like, it's a long season for training and preparing and all that. So I don't necessarily see a lot of the games athletes being involved in the college part of that. But I could see something like that, like a college bowl being like on the opposite end of the season. Why not? Yeah.
It would be interesting. I mean, I've tried to look at the stat. How many teens, current teens, 14, 15, 16, 17, how many of them have converted into Open Games athletes so far? Do you know of any?
Open Games?
Have actually,
I think the only ones that have, no one on an individual level, team level they have. There have been a couple on the teams.
On teams.
Makes sense. But I will say that I think that will, I can see that change in the next couple of years.
Change in the next couple.
I mean, these kids, the things that they're doing, at least on their strength level, like it's disgusting. Disgusting. I'm a little jealous. Actually, I'm a lot jealous. A lot jealous.
And it's just interesting thing, especially seeing, because I'm seeing it from both perspectives now. I'm seeing great elite masters athletes, and I'm seeing elite teen athletes now in my face. I'm like, gosh, like where is this gonna go?
I know.
At this point, how far is this gonna go for the teen athletes? And I also understand development quite a bit, writing my book on development and all that, and just seeing like even the athletes I have and how they're developed. But there's a big difference between a 17-year-old male or female and a 20-year-old male or female. Massive.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Daniel and I were both college football players. I was a significantly different athlete, and so was Daniel. I know for a fact because Daniel had a growth spurt. Daniel was and I got to coach him in college. He was a very different looking athlete when he's 18 and graduated high school, and the first when he was 19 and he was a sophomore in college. He was body type, height,
about 25 pounds of muscle, 20 pounds.
Yeah, and so it's like, well, a college division makes sense. It actually does. It's like, well, they're not just developing. It really.
Well, I think there would have to be what would be the goal and the purpose of doing it? You know what I mean? The goal of the CrossFit game is one goal. It's, can we find the fittest male and female in team and master and teen in the world? That's what the entire Open season, the regionals and the games is strictly for that. So, people have their issues about like, this is, it's not very inclusive, and it's not this, and this workout's too hard. Like, I get all that stuff, but the main goal is these are qualifying steps to find the best of the best of the best. Now, if the goal is we want to set up a developmental stage for college athletes, or we want to be able to drive these college athletes. It's kind of like if you have like the college gymnastics versus Olympic level gymnastics. Like, there's a big difference between those two. Yet there's still a very competitive field in the collegiate realm amongst the collegiate realm. I mean, you put any of them against the Olympic athletes, they're not even going to be close. But I still think that it's good, and it hypes up. You can play off the whole college drama and the college hype and the raw team go and all that kind of. I think that's pretty cool, because that's kind of built into it. So right. I think that would be something like that would be fun to see.
What was your?
Did you lose your brother?
Maybe I kicked off.
Your cam there, Mike.
What was your take this year? I was actually thinking about this. This year's games was pretty interesting to me. Being in Madison, it kind of seemed it was a great games. I think the tests were pretty tough. It kind of seemed more corporate in a way. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like they didn't throw them in the middle of saying, like the middle of a forest and say go for what's they'd kind of done in years prior to the games. What was your overall take on the test? Like, obviously the test was challenging. What was your overall take, just as being there, commentating the event, as far as the overall program?
The programming I really liked. I mean, it's always easy to armchair quarterback events as they come out and be like, and then you see kind of what happens and be like, okay, well, maybe if it was like this, it would have been a little bit better, or it would have been. The hard thing is that there's a difference between is it a viewer friendly test, or is it a good test? And for when Dave Casper puts his stuff together, he isn't necessarily trying to develop a TV show. He's trying to develop the test that's going to test these people. Yeah, it's the media team's job to do that.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, I do think that whenever you change, you're going to have some nuances that you aren't used to. I mean, being that we were in California at Carson for so long, you got to know exactly how certain things were going to work and how certain things needed to be done. This was an entirely new place. When I was in the middle of it, it was hard to tell if it had the grandiose appearance of what Carson had.
Yeah.
But then you go like into the Coliseum, which was supposed, I don't want to say it's going to simulate the tennis stadium. The tennis stadium, here it is. It's outdoors. Got all these people. It's super hot. The sun's out, or the lights are on, and nobody's wearing any clothes, and that's awesome. For CrossFit.
Yeah.
But then you look at the Coliseum in Madison, and it was hard to tell if the same number of people were seeing it or not. But what was hard to put into perspective was one tennis court versus a hockey arena. So you had a whole hockey arena with. Now you have, because of the way the stands go around, the seats go around, you now automatically have more people. So like they filled that place. There was a shit ton of people at that place. And I thought that it was really, really cool. I really liked what it was. I thought the fact that they brought in all that sand to make that obstacle course. They actually built an asphalt pad where they did the strongman event with the yoke and the farmer's carry and all that. That was all they built that platform so that they could do that event. So they built a lot of things to make things happen. I really thought it was a great job of putting it all together. Part of me felt like there was a little bit of a state fair kind of feeling. with all like the little like I get a very weird perspective because I'm kind of running from like area to area where I'm doing the broadcasting, and I don't get to necessarily sit and kind of see the vendor village and see where everyone's hanging out and see all that. So it's a little bit different. But I'd be running from one side to the other side, and there'd be like this little food place over here, and then this one right next to it, and it looks like they got some. I mean, they probably didn't have them, but it was like churros and flans and whatever. You had that smell. But I mean, I thought they did an amazing job. And even more, what I thought was impressive was the way the city took the games in, and everywhere you went in the town, there'd be a massive sticker of a games athlete, or you'd go to any coffee place, and they would have the sleeve would be the fittest city in America welcomes the fittest athletes in the world.
That's awesome.
Things like that. Like the entire place really, really, really took that in. And so the fact that this was the first year they had all that support, they were able to do what they did. To me, that was like, I can't wait to see what the next years bring because of that. That was like, I mean, I don't want to say it was a test year, but the first year is always a test year.
Yeah.
I think it was an amazing job. I think they did a great job. From where I was sitting, I didn't have a whole lot of complaints with it.
I got that feel from it too, that it was a good test year, and like the events, like even the cyclocross event was a unique event, And I remember thinking when I was watching it, and this is kind of maybe a test idea, is they're in the Midwest, they have all these trails, like they can do so much with that space. And I was kind of like, oh, they kept it like on the grassy area, which is cool.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going to happen after watching. I think what happened is I've been watching the CrossFit Games since it started, but the infancy of it too, with it being like Pendleton, like something as crazy as Camp Pendleton. Do you think they're going to bring an element like that to Madison too?
Well, Madison is the triathlon capital of the world. So to think that there isn't going to be something like that, I think you're kidding yourself.
Right.
They have a lot. I really liked the run swim run that they did. I was so jealous that they had the masters and all the athletes do that exact same thing. I thought that was awesome.
That'd be a great event.
It would have been an awesome event, man. Yeah. Anyway. But what I really liked, or what was difficult with that, was when the weather element kicked up.
Yeah. That
changed a lot of the broadcasting stuff that could be done. So I think the broadcast teams did a great job of putting it all together. I don't think that a lot of people really knew how tough it was for the run, the swim, and the run to actually make that look like anything, when all of a sudden it's downpouring and they weren't prepared for all of that, those sort of issues.
Right.
But I thought it was amazing. And I think for sure they're going to bring trails and utilize all the biking and the running, whatever. Like for the biking, I thought it was cool what they did. It was nice that they had an actual cyclocross guide that said this is not a beginner course. It's actually an intermediate course.
Is that right?
Yeah. I armchair quarterbacking it. I think that the test may have been misguided a little bit on, if you were good at using the gears, then you had an advantage. And if we're testing fitness, I don't think that like gear ratioing would have been like to be dropped out because you didn't know how to flick the gears correctly or not seemed kind of weird to me. Right. It would have been, I think in my mind, it would have been like, okay, well then make it a maybe a lower gear and make it a single speed.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, to me, honestly, I think that was like, come on, man. If you're an athlete, you haven't ridden a bike at some point in your life with some gears on it. Like you have no idea how to, like, really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's be athletic here. Come on. So I think it's great.
I want to ask for sure the steroid question, because you've been around CrossFit for so long.
Because I'm on it. I mean, can't you tell? I mean, look at me.
You're on the juice.
In fact, I just got done cycling. You didn't know that?
I mean, I'll tell you, like, yeah, like I remember when I started CrossFit, and I remember thinking like it was paleo, right? Zone diet. Even the competitors were doing paleo, which is crazy now. You think about it, like you can't get enough, you know, you can't get enough carbohydrates in your system. I mean, like there's all these reasons why. I mean, it's it's intense to do that.
Right.
But a lot of competitors, like, I remember someone bringing up to me like, "Hey, do you think people are gonna use steroids?" I was like, "Dude, no way! Like, this is like the health sport. You know what I mean? This is health." But then, obviously, as it become mainstream, a lot more money's been involved. When Ricky Gerard got popped this year, that was he's the most major guy to get. And it's not that he's using steroids, but PEDs.
Yep.
What's your take on it? I mean, you've been kind of viewing this sport through like a magnifying glass the last few years, especially the last few years. Individual men. I know a lot of team athletes have gotten popped, or a few. What's your take on it? I mean, do you think it's more rampant than CrossFit thinks, even realizes? Do you think? I mean, what do you think? People cycle through the open and get off of it for the regionals in a way. Is there any of that stuff?
From my own experience, I think that PEDs are used way more than, I don't want to say than CrossFit is thinking that it does. I don't think that they don't think that it does, but for them to be able to say it's this amount of people or this percentage or whatever, like it doesn't really do them any good, or doesn't do them any service or disservice to really try to do that, because it's a complete unknown. So you're totally taking a shot in the dark for not really getting anything out of it. Do I personally think that it's out there? 100%. I don't think that every single person is using it. I know that a lot of people are using it, and I'm talking open athletes trying to get to regionals. I'm talking regional athletes trying to make it to the games. I'm talking games athletes. I'm talking men. I'm talking women. I'm talking masters. I mean, I would hate to say the teens aren't doing it, but I mean, who knows? Because the thing is that there is an element, especially with the way it is now, is everybody wants to be a somebody. And when you look at one, people have big mouths and they say openly, "Oh yeah, I'm taking this and that." But if I just cycle off of it, they won't be able to do this. They won't be able to do that. Pretty like unapologetic about it, with the reasoning that, well, other people are doing it, so I'll be fine. I won't get caught, or it's a P test and I know I can get away from the P test, or the testing really isn't that big of a process, or whatever. So yeah, I know it's out there. Now, what you're doing with that, or what should CrossFit do about it? I think that as long as they are doing their due diligence with it, then that's the best that they can do. There are going to get people that use it and don't get caught. They're going to get people that use it and get caught. Right. They're going to get people that don't use it, and they need to be okay with the fact that they're choosing not to use it, or choosing to use it. I mean, at some point you got to look in the mirror and think about, like, okay, what am I trying to do out of this? The percentage of athletes that are able to make a living off of CrossFit is so much lower than any other professional sport out there. Yeah. Take football. If you're going to be a football player in the NFL, how many teams are there in the NFL?
There's 32 teams and 53-man active roster. You got about roughly 2,000 guys, right?
Okay, so you have 2,000 guys, and that's in the U.S. Now, correct. Here we are, we're doing CrossFit, and if you want to make any sort of decent money out of it, you have to be in the top 3.
Correct.
3.
Right.
So, everybody wants to be a somebody, so that I think that people are willing to take the chance to do that. I hate to say, I mean, I'm a fan of competition. I really am. Are there negative aspects to that? Absolutely. And I think that whenever, with the fact that more and more money gets thrown into the pot, that you're going to have people that are going to take chances on it. And that will always be the case. I think it's honestly, I think it's pretty pussy. I mean, when I line up, this cracks me up, man. I mean, here I am. I do like the Masters Division stuff, and I'll line up with these guys, and I'm looking across the board, and I can guarantee that I have been consistently working out and training longer and harder than these guys have. And I'm looking across all of them, and I'm like, why do I feel like I'm a 12-year-old boy next to a bunch of like college guys? There's,
I get that from
big
the
old
Masters,
arm,
too.
everybody's shredded. Like, come on, you guys. I mean, and that's the other thing in the Masters division. I think it is rampant. I think it's way worse there because of all the low T institutions that are out there, and every GNC commercial is, hey, boost your testosterone, GH, you take your HGH, and here's your HGH booster, and there's a lot out there. There really is. So,
I remember going to the CrossFit Games in 2012. We had Greg Smiley there. Yeah, I remember I've never really been around. Masters was big, but they were kind of on the side. It wasn't as big.
Right.
I mean, and they were in that little football field. I remember just being next to some of these guys. I'm like, dude, at the time I was I just finished playing football. I was for me in really good shape. And I'm like, but I go there, I'm like, these guys are shredded and jacked and 47, 57.
Yeah.
I mean, literally between ages of like 40 and 60, I was like, holy crap, dude. And veiny too, like not just like jacked, but like shredded.
Totally.
And I was just like, it's not from paleo diet and CrossFit.
No. No. And that's guys and girls. I mean, like it's funny. It's funny when, you look at pick a guy, pick a girl. I mean, whatever at those different ages. And you go from like their feet and you look up and you're like, rock hard calves. I mean, insane legs, tight asses, shredded abs, big old chest, big old shoulders, old man and old lady face.
Right.
Like, was there a little cutting, pasting, and take the body, put the head on? Like, come on, man. I think it's funny.
Did you read Ricky Gerard's Instagram post? Oh, he's back.
Oh, hi.
Did you read Ricky Gerard's Instagram post?
My computer went to shit.
It's all good.
I mean, after the fact?
After he got popped, he posted on Instagram. He posted like
that he didn't know, he was unaware.
Yeah, what was your take? He said, "I'm not aware." And then he said he had a big blanket statement. He said, "Well, everyone else is doing it anyway." It was a very 24-year-old response. It was kind of like a young, and it banned him for 4 years, which it's a long time. I mean, to be out of the sport and that grows this fast. What was your take on it? Were you like, I mean, you're a commentator. I mean, you knew him. You got to know him a little bit at the games, right? I mean, he came on the scene kind of quickly. I mean, no one really knew he wasn't. I didn't know he was until last year. I knew his brother.
I will say this. So, I mean, I knew his brother. I knew he was good. I knew that Ricky was good. I remember talking to his brother, Ben, and being like, dude, I don't know what your brother is doing, but tell him to keep doing it, because he was the only one that I could see that had, like, he was competing. Like, there were a lot of people that were like just hoping to like compete for second. He was the only one that had that look in his eye where it's like, hey, Matt, if I beat you, or I'm coming after you. If I blow up in the meantime, whatever. But like, I'm coming, man. I'm coming. And I loved seeing that, because that's competitiveness and competition, and I love that.
Yeah, I loved it too.
I was extremely bummed when that went down the way it was, because it was like, I was bothered that I gave him, I guess, kind of the kudos that I did, when it wasn't what it should have been. You know what I mean? Like, that just personally kind of bothered me. But no, to say, well, other people are doing it, so I'm just mad that I got caught. That's a pussy response. I mean, it really is. And you're right. I think it's a very easy thing to say that's a 24-year-old response. Yeah. Well, so-and-so is doing it, so why can't I do it? Well, they didn't get popped, but why did I get popped?
Right.
Well, okay. I know that there are a lot of people out there that they do their work, and they do it in a way that they'll do really, really well on a workout, really, really well on a workout, really, really well on a workout, dump on another workout. So now it drops them out of that like zone of like, you need to make sure you have a video, and we're gonna come and take a look at you and whatever. All of a sudden it drops you way down the leaderboard, so now you're not seen. But you get your team into wherever you have all these big points that do whatever they need to do.
Right.
Phase yourself out, cycle off, then go to regionals and do whatever it is you need to do. And the thing with a lot of those PEDs is like when you're on them, while you're training with them, you get the benefits, and you can cycle it to where the benefits are still there, even though it's not technically in your blood. I mean, you have the explosiveness, the strength, that tightness, that the muscularity, the conditioning and stuff. I mean, like you can hang on to that for an amount of time if you know appropriately when to cycle on and cycle off. And there are a lot of people that'll do it. And the hard part is the discussion. The discussion comes at this point. What is the difference about using a PED for training and for competition? How is that any different than using BCAAs that are going to help with your recovery and help with your, whatever, or protein that's going to help with your calories and your, are you going to be, catabolic or whatever after your workout? Those are supplements, just like these are supplements. So, like, where do you draw the line? And I think that's the hard. It's a hard discussion, even though it's obvious. There's stuff over here and stuff over here. So where do you put the line?
I think when people talk PEDs too, when they talk PEDs, it's steroids. I mean, like you can say, oh, they're going to take some oral supplement. That's not going to give people the same effects as a shot in the ass of testosterone. It's just not. Like, you can't even compare it. Like versus, I took an under the tongue HGH tablet. It's not going to do the same as taking BCA.
Okay, but here's the difference though. Like with HGH, since recovery, if you're talking about training and being able to push your body to a particular level, then it isn't about I need to be stronger. It's I need to be able to recover quickly so that I can have a really good workout the next day and a big workout the next day and do the same thing and the same thing. That's where the HGH kicks in to where they're able to have that recovery. And testing for HGH is way harder than it is for testing for testosterone.
Yeah, it's all over the
NFL. If you're looking for testosterone boosters or whatever.
More expensive.
Yeah, so I mean, it's tough to do. But I don't think it's a straight. I need steroids, quote unquote, just steroids, and that's the only thing I'm gonna be going. There's so many like boutique cocktails that people are doing now.
The stuff I don't
think it's just a one.
I think
a one thing.
I think they're blood doping like Tour de France athletes do. I don't think it's HGH or steroids. I don't think it's something crazy. I think the dumb ones are doing this simple stuff like Gerard did. I think it's blood doping. And that's really, really hard to get to catch.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, how are you going to do that? The only way you can do that is if it's very, very close. And when they take a blood sample, which they don't do, they just do a P test. So you're not going to be able to see, wow, this guy has, whatever the percentage, more blood cells in his body, more hemoglobin in his body to be able to transfer that oxygen.
No, it's really interesting because USADA now, if you take top 3 in any of your flights in a national weightlifting event, USADA gives blood and urine. So Frank at the last American Open, because he took first, got blood and urine test. And I'd never seen them bust out the blood test before. I've seen them bust out the urine test 1,000 times because as a coach, I'm allowed to be in the same room with him. I'm allowed to see the whole process go down. They bust out the blood vials. I'm like, you're going to blood test them? They're like, yes, that's our new policy. I'm like, holy shit.
Well, and I think, and USADA is a big deal now. I mean, you look, if you've seen any of the great movie, that Icarus movie, that talks about the blood amazing movie.
Yeah.
Insane.
I actually watched that and then the Lance Armstrong one basically back to back. So it was really interesting to see how the whole thing went. It was insane. My God. Insane. But I think that, the fact that USADA is doing that is huge because when you have big governments that they want the recognition of their athletes to do well, and they're paying or they're threatening or whatever these other companies or these organizations to handle that kind of stuff. You can't have that. So, I mean, the more strict it is, I think the better. Like, make it as strict as you can, because for me, like, I know I've never taken it. Like, the most gnarly thing I've ever taken has been BCAAs. And it's like, wow, if I don't have a chance to compete with you guys unless I'm doing something else, and it's like, wow, well, what's the point?
No, it's crazy. I always wonder if CrossFit's ever going to bring USADA, because UFC brought USADA in, and there's a lot, they're catching a lot of guys, I think CrossFit's afraid to bring someone like USADA in.
Well, there's always what I've always heard is the discussion about CrossFit would never nail anybody because it would be bad for the sport if someone got caught.
They just did.
I don't personally think that it would make CrossFit bad. I think that what it would do is it would call out that one guy. Now, maybe it would be like, I mean, everyone's going to say whatever they're going to say, and because CrossFit is still young, and there's an element of friendships that I think can be seen as, they'll never bust this guy because he's friends with Dave Castro, or they'll never bust this guy because he's on seminar staff, or and people can, not that they aren't valid assumptions, but the fact is it's an assumption. And I mean, if somebody really wanted to go and push the issue, like I know that Dan Bailey always said, he's like, test me. If you want to test me, test me. Someone's got to pay for the test, but if you want to test me right now, come and test me.
Sure.
No one stepped up to do it. There's a lot of people complaining, but no one stepped up to do it. And if there was a big group of people that really thought there was an issue, okay, then have a group of people that all throw in $100, and then there you can pay for the test to do whatever you need to do to get it done. I just think that people like to bitch and complain. They always think that the automatic is that someone is faking it and cheating.
Right.
I don't think that everybody is, but I think it is out there, and it's bigger than what is said. But I think that's also professional sports. I mean, I can't tell me the football players aren't doing it. Can't tell me the baseball players aren't doing it. Basketball players aren't doing it.
Every single football in the NFL is on drugs. That's
a big statement.
No, I'm sorry. They're allowed to have higher levels of testosterone than any other sport. They get drug tested, but they're allowed to have a higher level. They're allowed to have higher levels than the average human being. And they say it's because they're playing an aggressive sport. No, it's because they're okay with them having higher levels. That's why. So they are all. It doesn't matter. Like, yes, I mean, you can say what you want. Like most powerlifters, a lot of not powerlifters, but bodybuilders, they're allowed to dope. So like, there you go. They all are. It's so that by people saying they're not. I think the only thing that would hurt CrossFit is if it was like, for example, in Houston 3 years ago, they caught 27 medalists. That would hurt a sport. If you catch 27 people in the CrossFit Games, that would hurt the sport. One guy, like catching Mangarard, that was huge. You caught third best guy in the world. You catch 27 people, now you got a problem. That's the only way I think it would hurt CrossFit.
Yeah,
but you see, like, to me, I don't see that it would be a problem. I think that what it would do is, okay, this is obviously a big deal, and guess what? Whatever they're doing now, it's catching people. So come and play again next year, and we'll see if you're actually going to be able to put up some numbers or not.
Yeah, I agree. And that's why I'm curious they haven't brought in a major governing body though because of that. Yeah. Nothing to hide. So clearly they don't.
It's getting to the point where I think they should. It's getting to a point where I think they should. Let me ask you another question too. Do you think anybody has a chance to beat Frazier at all? I mean, you're watching. You do all the individual commentating, right?
Yeah.
You watch the top. I mean, you watch the guy, right? I mean, he is so much further ahead than anybody else. That I've been around CrossFit since the beginning of it. Do you think he's at all beatable? I mean, even like as early as this year, in individual, like just in the games in general.
this year, it was really funny. I know that he's had a change in his life. He's living with his girlfriend. They bought a house out in Cookville. So, I mean, he moved from where he was in Vermont. He's out, him and Rich are like neighbors now. So that's kind of a unique thing.
Yeah.
I think that there's always the aspect of if you get domesticated, what's your training going to be like? And I was curious to see how that was going to look, but here we are after 3 scores, and he's sitting in first place in the Open, and the next person that's close to him is like 200 points away or something like that, 150 points away. He's just so good at everything, and where he had issues before, I'm not going to say that he's the best at everything, but like where he had issues, now he's in the top 10. And I just don't think that really gives enough. There's not enough room for anybody else to really touch that. I don't think anyone's going to touch him this year.
Has anybody paid attention that CrossFit Mayhem Freedom's team, the top 2 guys every week have been Fraser and Froning on their team? He's on their team.
Exactly. He's representing their Mayhem?
Yeah, Fraser's on the Mayhem athlete now. He's under CrossFit Mayhem. And you look at their leaderboard under CrossFit Mayhem Freedom, Fraser Froning. You're like, oh.
And you got to remember now, of course, so those guys are going to do that, but you got to remember that like Fraser's not going to go team.
No, he's not. Just interesting.
I mean, unless Rich like under the table paid that dude a ton of money, there's no way that cat's going to go team.
Not this year.
For the future.
But you got to remember, his score is going to go out. Yeah, in the future, why not?
Yeah, I can totally see him.
I know Rich was pissed. I know Rich was pissed last year taking second, so who knows? Maybe he's like, look, man, $500,000.
Yeah, right.
I'll pay you $500,000. You get on my team so I can get my trophy back, and then you can go back to doing individual.
I mean, like, or I could see it like maybe like Rams, he wins 4 or 5 in a row, and he goes, I'm gonna go team now with Rich.
That's likely to happen. Yeah. I think that'll end up happening.
They live in the same place. He's part of Mayhem now. It's going to say CrossFit Mayhem on Fraser's shirt this year at the games. I mean,
yeah,
that's crazy. Like no one's talking about that. Like, wow. I mean, he's a Mayhem athlete now.
But I think no one's really talking about it because they know that like Matt's not going to go team. I mean, I just don't see that. So even though the points are there and that's what's happening and that stuff is happening, I don't really see it being much of a talking point because when he goes individual, those points are going to get pulled out anyway.
Yeah, totally.
So it'll be the next person. It's kind of cool to see that.
It's cool.
Here these the 2 legends of the sport, on the same team basically. Like that's.
And where you finish after the Open is cool. Like that's you can say I was 6th after I was 6th in the Open, and then once scores are dropped, I was 3rd or I was 8th, whatever.
Right.
Like when the Open ends, that the fittest affiliates. That's their ranking, and he's part of that affiliate.
Yep.
You're still almost the fittest in the Open. You're the 3rd fittest in the Open. So it's really interesting to see it. I've been following it. It's crazy that they're not.
I agree.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're on.
We are. Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah, we've been on.
We should probably wrap it up.
Crap.
Yeah, we can kind of wrap it up and obviously.
Okay.
But in the next few minutes or so. But
okay.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to kind of just ask you about that, your opinion there of just like of him in general, because I've never seen a dude in person. Like I haven't had a chance to see the guy compete really. And you watch Froning in person. I hate to ask the comparison question because it's not, but just you've commentated both. I know you know both of them, right? I'm not even like, what do you think that Fraser, like just general, because they are, even though they're different, they're actually kind of similar athletes in a weird way. But what's your take on each of them as athletes? Is their mentality? Is that the only like their mentality? You've seen them compete in person. Besides ability, like what do you think really makes both of them as great as they've been?
What has been, they're both. I mean, they have amazing skills. Their skills are just unbelievable. The difference that I've seen in those two is Rich, for the most part, has always been able to compete where he always just kind of does just enough. He knows where everybody is. He doesn't overexert more than he needs to until he needs to, which has always been really interesting. Very aware of where everyone is, and I see him kind of like a lion, kind of hanging out on the prairie, just kind of doing what he needs to do, just enough to kind of keep himself at that whatever level he needs to be, and he's very calm about it. I don't need to win everything. I'll just hang out. I'm just going to do my thing. Although I know where you guys are. If I need to speed up a little bit, I'll speed up a little bit. If I can just hang out, I'll hang out. Whereas Frazier, I see more of attack mode with Frazier than I do with Rich. And that doesn't say that one is better than the other. What I see is that like Matt wants to beat you by as much as he can beat you. And he's not afraid. Right. He's not going to save one event for something else or just be ahead of you just enough.
Right.
He'll try to see, like, he's very aware of where you are also, but I think he has more of a come and chase me, and I'll run you into the ground. You know, he's very aggressive as a competitor that way, which is like, I honestly like seeing that with him. He's always, even though he's the top dog, it's like he's still the hungry wolf, rather than I'm sitting up here and it's like, I'm just going to do just what I need to do. You know, he's like, I'm still going to chase you the hell off this hill.
I think that reminds me of was when Froning won in 2011. His mentality, it wasn't, I think he did like 2012, 2013, a little bit more of that, hey, I'm going to be even kill. But 2011, when he came back after finishing second and the whole rope climb thing, I think he had that major killer instinct. I wonder, you know what I'm saying?
You only see occasions of that with Rich, and it's only when he needs to do it. That's he chooses it, but he only does it when he needs to do it. You're absolutely right on that time frame. The other time frame was when I think it was the last year he did it was the 300s.
Yep.
So or the triple threes. So on the run, he stopped. He's doing this during a run. He's walking, and he dropped some points on that. And I think that bothered him so much that in the next event, which was the 2007, I think that was the original workout for the games.
Remember the 21-15-9?
Oh, maybe it was that one, because I either pull-ups and stuff in it. He didn't look around at anyone once, and he went like head down and went for it and blew everyone out of the water. And I never see him do that. No. So that was the time. It's like when he puts the gas down, the guy puts it down. He just is calm enough, mature enough, aware enough that he doesn't have to do it on a regular basis. You know?
Yeah.
Whereas Matt's just an aggressive competitor. Well, he's like, I'm taking you out.
I always wondered if the year after Froning retired, then Matt lost to Ben Smith, if he tried to do that too much, and he tried to just stay ahead whenever he could and play that same kind of Rich Froning card, and that's why. And he lost in the end because he didn't try and crush everybody. He didn't have enough points stacked up to lose in the finals to Ben Smith. And then the following year, he's like, "Fuck it, I'm fucking everybody up."
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think you're right, but also he had that one. I mean, that he had the issue with the pig and the rope climb, and that event. I mean, that event crushed them. You know?
It did.
And I think that he didn't have the ability to make up the points on Ben Smith in the next two events on that. He tried to chase him down. Yeah. I mean, he was going for it, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough what he needed when he needed it. He may have the problem with using strategies, and everyone always has their strategy. Even when I do like my little strategies for the open, events and stuff like that, you have to be careful when you listen to any strategy, because there's going to be general strategies. There's going to be, this is what this athlete did and they got an amazing score, but they're working with this set of skills and this set of abilities, and that's why this particular strategy worked. That doesn't mean you can take that and put it on this person. It's going to work on them. So you're right. Maybe he did play, kind of ride the reins a little bit more, and that's not his style. That doesn't work best with him. I think he's just good when he just goes, and when he goes, I mean, the dude's amazing.
Yeah. No, he is. Awesome.
We're about an hour, like we're way over an hour. We're getting mad. Almost gonna get mad, but we should probably wrap it up. That was a pretty badass podcast. I think a lot of people really want to hear this. Yeah. We'll definitely share it probably in the next few days.
Hope so.
And did we ever talk about 18.3 when I was gone?
No, not really.
No, we never did. Not really.
That's fine. I mean, I don't know, Bill. Do you have anything you want to tell everybody about 18.3 if this comes out in the next day or two? Any words of wisdom?
I would say, yeah, if you're good at double unders, then make the double unders work. If you're not good at double unders, then break up your double unders and make up your pace on the other movements. You got it. Like you got to pick a path. Pick a path.
The way I'm looking at it too, what I'm noticing with a lot of the athletes are better athletes, it's not about the double unders. With some of them, it's about the panic button. Some of them have never felt their heart rate get this jacked in an open workout before, and they're just like, oh my god, deer in headlights right after those muscle ups, right when they hit that dumbbell snatch back dumps, they're just like,
yeah.
What? And then it's about controlling your heart rate. That it's okay. People are panicking because it's a 14-minute clock, and they have to realize that's actually quite a bit of time because you're not going to finish the workout. It's just how far can you get into that second round. And I'm seeing a lot of panic.
Well, and I think you got to be able to relax on those double unders. I mean, if there are a lot of people that are like jumping really, really hard during those double unders, they're not rebounding, they're jumping. And to jump uses bigger muscles. You're using a lot. That's a lot more of an oxygen demand rather than just doing a straight rebound. And it's really not that bad to break the stuff up. I mean, if you know that you're not going to be able to get the world record time on this one because you're not going to go unbroken on all the double unders, then break them up. But you decide when to break them up. Not like, oh my God, I'm going to failure and I'm so tired. I'm super tired. Yeah. And then you have to get back on the rope again. Like, you're not going to be able to do that. Shut down before that so you're loose. And just try to breathe, try to relax. Double unders don't have to be fast. They just have to be consistent. Yeah. So slower, slow your double unders down. Slow them down. Relax. I think this entire workout, it's technical, yes, but it's about being controlled for the entire 14 minutes. You got to keep yourself controlled and relaxed the whole time.
Yeah. 2 final questions. Okay. Because people want to know. First question is, do we see dumbbells in every single open workout? Second question, what's your prediction on 18.4?
I don't think we'll see dumbbells in every single workout. My personal opinion.
False. It's going to be everywhere. It's going to be everywhere.
I might be wrong, but who knows?
Yeah.
And if they do, I mean, whatever, it's fine. Yeah. But I just, I am feeling like the next one will be a repeat, and I'm thinking since we haven't done any thrusters and we haven't done any pull-ups yet, I could see it being the, what was that, 13, 4, 13, 3, the thrust of 15, 3 rounds of 15.
That's for pull-ups, thrusters, 4 minutes, 15, 3 rounds, 15. I've been saying that forever. That workout's come back this year. I thought it was coming back last year.
I could see that. I could see that one.
Yeah.
I could see that one.
That one I could totally see. And it'd be interesting if they put that in. If they did it, I could see it being next week because they've done thrusters week 5 of the Open since 2011. Why not move thrusters to week 4? Completely change it up. And that would be that workout makes the most amount of sense right now because we have not done either of the movements yet.
I mean, they're notorious for programming weeks.
And I mean, we haven't done any pull-ups at all yet.
No pull-ups. No, 0. There's been no gymnastics this week, really. I mean, the 8 toes.
I mean, unless they decide that they want to do. Yeah, I mean, unless they decide they want to make the thrusters like dumbbell thrusters or something. I mean, but if they do that, then it's not a repeat workout. You know, so that's what I mean. That's what I mean. I think that I'm gonna stick with that. I think it's gonna be that one, just straight 3 rounds of 15.
A horrible workout.
It's
pretty bad.
That's the one workout I've always wondered why they haven't repeated it. It was one of the best workouts they ever programmed. Just like a cool program workout, even though it's hard. It was like,
well, it's hard. It's like, okay, we all know Fran, and now we're just gonna do a fucked up version of it and see who can hang on for the longest.
And if you have under a 4-minute Fran, you're gonna have to do it again. Can you recover and do it again? And that it was horrible in 2013. I remember. I think Daniel and I were the only ones in our gym that got into the second round, and I don't even remember the second round. I can only imagine now the athletes now how far they would get. I think they would get so much further. I don't know. I see athletes get into the 4th round now, and there's some amazing CrossFitters out there now compared to 2013. So I could totally see that happening. See it coming back for sure. I've been saying 13.5. Yeah. That'd be rad. I don't know. We'll see. We'll find out. Well, cool.
So I'll actually be commentating the next one. So I'll be in Arizona commentating it.
You go home, see your parents. Go say hi. You're gonna
I'll say hi and stuff. Yeah, it'll be fun.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. All right, guys. That was the 5th episode of the Tromello Brothers podcast with Bill Grundler. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will see you at the next one. Talk to you soon.
Bye, guys.